Alright guys, welcome back to part 2. So now we've got this Landorus Therian done, we've got the rocks, we've got the Edgequake combo. There are other combos like Bolt Beam, Thunderbolt and Ice Beam. You should always have at least one of those combos on the team that hits a lot of times. You can always ask in the chat here if you really struggle with that sort of thing. I'd actually recommend the recommended spread for this. You can just click that, it's the suggested spread. That doesn't always work, sometimes you have to act off your own initiative and off of base stats, but yeah. So I'm going to actually run max speed, max attack on this thing, because it has pretty high HP anyway. It's got the lefties, it's got that intimidate. I mean, basically the only purpose of it on this team is just going to be to set up the rocks, then to rock polish, and then hit with Earthquake Stone Edge. So we want to be fast to get the rock polish up in the first place, so then we can outspeed all the choice scarf users, unless they're really fast. And then obviously we've got the max. So we've got the Adamant Nature, because that gives us 427 attacks, so we're going to be hitting like a truck. So now we've got a physical and a special sweeper. Both could be a lead, potentially, because, you know, Landorus has the rocks and is more defensive. Then we've got an offensive lead. There, we've got momentum moves, we've got coverage moves, we've got stab moves. A great start to this team. Now, however, we now have a quad weakness, because Landorus Therian is a ground flying type. It has a quad weakness to fire, so we want something to cover that fire weakness, and this is where we'll come into an ice weakness, sorry. So we need to find a wall in OU that has a resistance to ice. Well, that's not very difficult. We have the Jellicent here, base 105 special defense. I'm just trying to look at your base stats. Your special defense is ever so slightly lower. So, that means Jellicent will be the perfect contender. Because as you can see, you've got pretty good general team synergy right now. Because you've got the Volt Absorb here. So, you've got immunity to electric there, immunity to electric there, and then Jellicent, which is our specially defensive wall, is has like really high special defense, and since these two, well, Landorus Therian has weaker special defense and a 4 times weakness to ice, we now have a specially defensive Pokemon that walls it. So obviously we're going to have leftovers. I always recommend leftovers on walls unless they do more than one function. Water Absorb, that covers another weakness, Landorus Therian there. So, what moves? Well, we're going to want the Scald. I recommend Scald over Shadow Ball. I also recommend when you're picking moves to look at the secondary effects. What sort of things do your team need? This team at the moment has a lack of status, so Scald's good because it has a 30% chance to burn the target, and obviously thaws the user, but you don't get freeze that often. And that 30% is very crucial. It seems like 100%. So you got that Scald to hit the fire types. Now, what's going to happen if they have a Jellicent? Because Jellicent's very popular. You can't hit wall types with water moves. That's not recommended unless it's a physical sweeper. You're trying to get the burn. That's why you carry the Giga Drain, because that allows you to counter other Jellicents as well as be a coverage move, as I've already said. Now, this Pokemon is obviously a wall, so we're going to want to put in some walling moves now, because obviously not a sweeper. So as you can see, these two Pokemon have alright defensive stats, but as I've noticed as a whole, Landorus Therian's defense is low, Jolteon's defense is even lower. So therefore, we're going to be wanting to carry the Will-O-Wisp, because Will-O-Wisp has a 75% accuracy, so it's reasonably reliable, and it's more reliable than Scald, and it burns the target. That means that they're going to have half attack, unless they're like a fire type, so Jolteon's going to find it easier to get switch-ins. We're not going to carry the Toxic as well, though. Never carry more than one status move. Well, generally. That tends to be better in lower tiers. Like, if you carry more than one status move, make it a sleep move in another status. Never carry burn and poison, because it needs to be played around that way. Because what happens then if they have a fire type with heal bell? Then you've got nothing. Right, now, so we've got 2 attacks. Got a stand move and a coverage move, and we've got a status move. Now, in order to be a wall, we're also going to have a recovery move, because most good walls have to have a recovery move to allow them to recover HP, because Jellison's also a bit of a pivot. If your opponent's, say for example, you have the Jolteon out, and you have to switch into Jellison, because I know it's not physically defensive, but has max HP. You will probably be 2-hit KO'd by that move. You can then switch in, but wait, that's a really bad example. Ignore what I just said. Herp derp. Say for example, they see your Landorus Therian. They have an Ice type Pokemon, or a Pokemon with Ice Beam that's perhaps Specs or boosted. Any Pokemon with Ice Beam, really. You know they carry the Ice Beam, or they're going to go for it. You can then switch into that Jellison. Because you're on max special defense, max HP, as obviously I've done from the recommended spread there, you can then take that hit, take only a little bit of damage, recover most of that up with leftovers. If they use a water move, you have water absorb, you have the recover to recover the HP, and yeah, pretty much their move that they've done is wasted, because not only is it resisted, you've got max special defense, max HP, a recovery item, and recover. So you can recover on the switch out, or you can predict the switch in, hit them hard with a Scald or Giga Drain, hope for the burn, or recover some HP. And then you've got the Will-O-Wisp to wear down walls. So that you've always got to think, right. So now we've got a special sweeper, a physical sweeper. They're two potential leads. Then we've got a specially defensive wall. Now we've got to go for the physically defensive wall. So now what's this team weak to? We've got ground, but that's covered by Landorus Therian. We've got electric, but that's covered by Landorus Therian and Jolteon. We've got water, but that's covered by Jellicent. We've got grass, which isn't covered. Yes, Ferrothorn would be a perfect Pokemon here. Or Fortress. No, I'd say Ferrothorn. Why? It crop resists grass, and it has iron barbs, because most grass moves are physical, and the special based moves, you know, we can shrug them off. So obviously you've got to have iron barbs. All walls have leftovers. Or they should have leftovers. So, we've already got Stealth Rock. So what moves we're going to be using here for the recommended spread? I'd recommend Thunder Wave, because it's another status that can cripple the fast sweepers and make the slow sweepers terrible. Unless they're like relying on payback. But it's just useful to counter the Scarf users, really. Especially if Jolteon's out or Landorus Therian hasn't got the Rock Polish up. So we've got the Thunder Wave. I'd also recommend carrying Spikes. I wouldn't always carry a second entry hazard, because I'm not a big entry hazard fan. But from the playstyle of this team, and the momentum of this team, I can tell that obviously we're going to do a lot of switching with that Jolteon. We're going to be setting up rocks early in the match. We're going to be doing a bit of damage to the Edge Quake combo. We're going to be tanking hits with the Jellicent and the Ferro. We're going to need some more entry hazards, because they're going to be forcing a lot of switches for me and my opponent. So therefore Spikes is a recommended option. Now, in order to be a wall, as I've already said, we need to have a reliable recovery move. Leech Seed would be recommended here. This is one of Ferrothorn's signature moves, and allows you to recover 1/8 of your HP, and obviously you get the leftovers after that as well, so that allows you to sort of stall. Anyway, now obviously I do not like the idea of having a Pokemon that does not have a, what am I thinking? That does not have an attacking move. So we could either have the Power Whip or the Gyro Ball. I'd actually recommend the Gyro Ball, because Ferrothorn's going to be slower than most things anyway, because that terrible base speed. So the more power, the slower they're using the target. So it's got stab, it's got that big power. Now, if you do that, it's going to automatically set your IVs to 0 in speed, because you want to be as slow as possible. Because if you're 31, it's going to be higher. So you want it as low as possible. Now, we want a nature that raises attack and minuses raises defense and minuses speed. 2 plus minus, and that's equals. Right, anyway, I'm going to see you guys in the next episode, because I have a 10-minute time limit. Thank you very much. Until next time, BocciasBattles out. Enjoy, rate, like, comment, subscribe. Please check out the next episode. Thank you. Goodbye.